Hi, Kayla. Welcome to the Autism Little Learners podcast. And it's been a long time in coming, and I am truly so happy that you're here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
My name is Kayla. I live in Orlando, Florida with my husband, who is a Marine, and our two boys. I have a 13-year-old who is on the spectrum, and then I have a 9-year-old boy who is neurotypical. And yeah, we live here in Orlando.
Awesome. And what do you do for a living?
So currently, I have two jobs.
Okay.
I am a special education educator. I have been a one-on-one paraprofessional with a little girl with Down syndrome for the last few years. And I'm kind of an above para staffing. So I'm in a self-contained room. So that means that I get to help lots of other students as well, whom are all on the spectrum. And then also about 3 years ago, I started a new adventure being a travel advisor or a travel agent that specializes in special needs travel, specifically with autism. And this is actually my last year teaching because I'm going full time with my travel business.
Oh my gosh. I know those
Mhm.
days of doing both, your day job and your side gig, and how busy
Mhm.
things can be. And you kind of are working
Yes.
till night until you have to make a decision. So I didn't realize that
Yes.
you were still teaching during the day. So kudos
Yes.
to you in making a decision, because that's the hard part.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been really hard anytime my student goes to therapy or specials without me or lunchtime, I'm responding to emails or, texting clients back. And then I come home and go straight to my office and focus on travel again and,
Yeah.
don't come out until it's time for me to cook dinner. And
Yeah.
once my boys go to bed, then sometimes I have to get back into my office and get to work. So I'm excited to see how it'll flourish even more, once I go full time because I'm super passionate about it. And, that moment where like you feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that until I took this on. So it's a really good feeling.
It's funny that you say that, because you're describing how I felt too when making the transition from the classroom. My goal was never, ever to leave the classroom. I never even thought of
Mhm.
that. But things evolve, and then I had to make the decision, and it was such a hard decision. And then all of a sudden you feel at peace with it and so
Right.
excited, and because you're so passionate about this business that you've created. So I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, let's tell everyone about what you do. You said that you help parents, families with special needs travel. So, first of all, what got you into this field of helping parents of children with disabilities when it comes to travel?
Right. So, how it started is we moved from Southern California to Florida. We moved to Orlando because my husband got his dream job. He is a veteran now, and so he works for the government, and he got his dream job here. And so I started sharing on social media about our adventures to Disney and Universal and other Orlando places and the beaches and stuff with our son who's on the spectrum and kind of sharing details and tips about how we front load him and how we are able to just kind of travel with him. And, you know, I just had so many people reach out like, oh my gosh, how did you even get into that headspace of, thinking that you could travel with him? And, people just started asking questions. And so I was like, what can I do to just help more people? And a travel agency actually had reached out to me and they were like, hey, did you know that like you could do this as like a job? And so I signed up and I did all of the courses and all of the training for all different things. And it just kind of started from there. I wanted to help families. I wanted to be that person, that resource for families that I didn't have when
Mhm.
my son was younger, because I mean, he's going to be 14. I've been doing this for a while now. The very first time I took him on an airplane was when he was 2. And so I've had years of experience and traveling because my husband was, active duty. So he traveled a lot. And I basically just wanted to be that resource, that provider for other families like mine, the way I wish I had somebody when he was younger.
Yeah. And I love that you're taking your lived experience over
Hmm.
probably a decade or even
Yeah.
more to help other families. And I think what caught my eye when I found you on Instagram, and I don't know if I saw something you posted or a reel, and I reached out because I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't know this existed for one. And for
Mhm.
two, I just think of all my former families and
Yeah.
how they could have used somebody like you to uh, be able to allow themselves to feel comfortable going on a vacation.
Right. And I feel like that's a big thing, a lot of families come to me because they, maybe they're not ready to travel right now, but they want some tips and some resources to even get into that headspace of thinking about it for the future.
Yeah, definitely. And I saw your website talks about the quote magic or making magic for all. And what does that
Hmm.
mean to you?
Yeah, so I came up with that about 3 years ago, making magic accessible for all. I'm actually in the process of getting it trademarked right now because it has been my slogan for the last 3 years. Um, and I just want every family, special needs, autism, neurotypical families, to know that there are resources and accommodations out there to help you feel more confident traveling and to make travel accessible for you. I feel like magic is in the everyday. It's when you take your child, when you get that confidence to take your child to the grocery store or do a little staycation in your area. You don't necessarily have to go on this elaborate big vacation. Just, you know, taking them out in the first place is one big step. And just being able to make that accessible for families is just huge to me. And I just want people to know that they can experience this when they're ready.
I think it's great that you say it can start with just taking them out to the grocery store or something, because I
Mhm.
think any of us that have had young kids know that even with neurotypical kids, that can be a challenge and take a
Yes.
lot of patience and energy. And then a lot of times I've heard parents say with their young autistic children, it can be difficult because, they maybe don't understand, like, just I like this toy I passed, I want it, and it can end in a meltdown on the floor. Transitions
Right.
are hard. Understanding that concept is hard. And so
Mhm.
I like that you're kind of talking start small and then you can
Right.
really start dreaming bigger.
Right. I mean, 87% of autism families are like, don't go on vacation, like at all. And of that, 93% said that they would if they knew about resources and accommodations at
Mm.
their destinations. And there are grocery stores and therapy centers and stuff like that that are actually certified autism centers. So letting families know that, helps them feel a little bit more confident going to those places. And it does truly, it starts small. You have to start small.
Yeah. I think about just thinking back in my 25-year career of working with autistic kids. I don't remember what year it was, but the first thing that ever kind of came to the forefront when we talk accessibility were like sensory friendly films, being able to
Mhm.
go to the movie theater and it's okay if kids are up and moving or stimming, making sounds. And that was kind of the first step. And now you hear things like Kylie Kelsey, Jason Kelsey's wife, talking about how she supports the Philadelphia Eagles in having a sensory room and sensory tools for autistic people or neurodivergent people in general to be able to attend football games, which
Yeah.
would have been sensory wise really, really difficult before. So I just love what you're doing and how much is coming around now with accessibility and people just thinking about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's amazing too because now we have programs like Culture City that actually go to concerts, and they have, you can take your child to a concert that if they love somebody. I know my 9-year-old, he is obsessed with Justin Bieber right now. And if he had a concert, we would be there in a heartbeat. But, Culture City will do like sensory tents where you can go inside and they have, the sensory toys, and they'll give you a bag that has fidgets and, noise canceling headphones in it. And I think that's a really amazing step in the right direction too. It's fantastic.
I agree. In your years of doing this, what do you find is
Mhm.
the most difficult part of travel for families with autistic kids?
I think the biggest thing is transitioning and elopement. That is always a high concern for most of my families. I always ask all of my families when I'm qualifying them to see exactly what I can do to help them. The biggest things are elopement, making sure that their safe foods are on hand,
Mm,
transitions, how they feel if other people see their child having a meltdown, because it's easy for us to say that we don't care, but inside, we do care, and it's hurtful when you see the side eye, or you get the looks. And I know me personally, I took my oldest son to SeaWorld last year, which does have a certified autism center there, in the Sesame Street area. And he had a meltdown, and because he's older, especially, that was difficult. And I can say, I don't care, but I could feel my body getting hot, and I could feel the splotchiness coming, and the shaking coming. And so I think that, that's a big part of it too, as people are nervous to travel and have their children have meltdowns too.
I can relate to that on a small level, even as an educator, because, if it's my classroom or close to my classroom, like I feel like if there's a breakdown in transition and there's a meltdown happening, it's much
Mhm.
easier to deal with it in the way you normally would or stay calm in that kind of safe environment. But the minute we get in the lobby on the way to the bus and there's a million parents in there, you feel like the judging eyes, you feel
Yes.
kind of rushed to make it better. And then when you feel rushed, it just makes it worse because the kids know your vibe. They can sense that you're kind
Right.
of stressed out and that flushed feeling. Yes, I totally get it. And then times 1,000 probably if you're on an airplane that's probably
Right.
where you're like the airplane that I just want the airplane to go smooth because there's nowhere to go.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, so many things on the airplane, having your safe foods,
Mhm,
transitioning on the airplane, having a meltdown on the airplane, um, and your child just, wanting to get off. That
mhm.
in a sense is one of the worst feelings. It
Yeah.
is, and I understand that because I've been there. I
Yeah.
have.
Well, and this is probably related to what we just talked about, but what are parents' biggest fears? Are they kind of the same? Like elopement, obviously, that would be a really scary one.
Mhm.
Any other big fears parents have with that prevent them maybe from traveling?
A lot of them want to make sure that there are resources and accommodations at the destination that they're going to.
Mhm.
That creates a huge self or sense of confidence, that when they get there, people are going to be understanding, people are going to be able to assist. And that's huge. So yeah.
Definitely. And what are a
Mhm.
few things most people tend to forget about when it comes to traveling with an autistic child?
I think the biggest thing is that there's resources and accommodations for them. I think a lot of families, including myself, we, worry about the unknown,
Mhm.
and, not really sure what's going to happen. And so we forget that now in this day, there are resources and accommodations at their destinations to help them feel more confident traveling. I just was a public speaker at an event in North Carolina a couple of weeks ago, and every family that I was talking to didn't know that there were destinations that were certified autism centers where 100% of their staff has been trained to work with guests on the spectrum, that you can hire a nanny that is a certified autism nanny to go on vacation with you if you need to.
Wow.
That they help you. um, and I think that's the biggest thing, honestly, that people forget, is that there are people out there like myself and destinations out there that truly want families to be able to experience the magic of vacation and those memories and stuff. But yeah, I really feel like that they forget that, or not that they forget, but you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge component to making families feel confident to travel.
Yeah, and some of the things you just mentioned are things I had no idea about, uh,
Yeah.
like the nanny and,
Mhm.
just that there are many options for what did you autism certified centers? Is that what you called it?
Right. Right. Advanced Certified Autism Center. So the
Okay.
IBCCES, which is where my biggest credentialing comes from, they go to different businesses like beaches, resorts, the all inclusive. There's two locations in Jamaica and one in Turks and Caicos. And they are an advanced certified autism center, but they also have nannies on location that are called one-on-one beaches buddies, and they're certified to work with guests on the spectrum. So while you're on vacation, if you want to, you can hire a nanny to, help take care of your kiddo while you and your spouse enjoy dinner, or, go to a spa treatment, or they can come with you and your family while you're just on the beach and kind of have an extra hand with you, to help you assist. I have a lot of clients that book that way, their child on the spectrum can be taken care of and played with and engaged with while they focus a little bit on their other child or the sibling a little bit more,
Yeah.
so they can kind of get that one-on-one time with their other child too. But yeah, it's really nice to know that those are available to you because, like I said, if you don't know, then you don't know.
That is absolutely amazing because I can see a lot
Yeah.
of parents being like, well, I'm not sure about leaving them with this person or maybe before they meet them. But
Mhm.
if I'm on the beach with my other child or two children, it's someone to watch and interact, make sure everything's safe as far as the
Mhm.
water, but they can kind of sit back and relax and interact with
Mhm.
all their children in just a more like low key way instead of being hyper vigilant, which I feel like by the water, there's always got to be one parent that's like really, really
Mhm.
right there. So they can
Right.
enjoy their vacation with a little relaxation too, which would be amazing.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Just having that reassurance that somebody's there to help you is it,
Yeah.
it just makes it so nice for everyone all around.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. Turks and Caicos.
Mhm.
That is somewhere
Uh,
that I have been like, that would be amazing to go to.
yes, it's gorgeous. I just had a client get back last month from Beaches, Turks and Caicos, and she
Yeah.
said, "Kayla, I want to come back. I
Oh,
have to come back this year because it really is just absolutely
wow.
stunning."
And then did that client experience the nanny or any of the other accommodations that are provided?
Yes. Yes, they did. And her child also was a kind of hyper focused on the scent of the chemicals that were used in the room to clean,
Mm,
and she said that couldn't really smell it, but her child was like very, fixated on it, and kept talking about it, that she could tell that it was bothering him. So I called the resort and they were able to switch it out and go with something a little bit more natural, so he could enjoy the
wow.
rest of his vacation and not have to worry about that, which is
Wow.
fantastic. Hmm.
So that's part of your services too, is if they
Yeah.
need you while they're there, you can
Yes, I
help.
Yeah, so I do have in-destination support for all of my clients. I'm pretty much on call while they are traveling. So I'm pretty much on call all the time. And usually though, everything goes amazing. But even something simple like that, and she didn't even know again that that was an accommodation that they could do for them. And she just happened to tell me, because I like to check in every once in a while, and in conversation, she happened to tell me. And I said, let me see what I can do about that. And so I was able to call the resort and kind of chat with them. And they're so amazing. They don't even ask questions. They're like, okay, you got it. We'll make sure that it's taken care of for you. And when they did the turn down service and everything for them, they were good to go.
Wow. Kayla, that's incredible. I am like just so in
Yeah.
awe of what you do. It's just like
Oh, thank
so
you.
beautiful.
I
Oh,
love it. I cannot tell you how much I love it.
wow. A lot of parents are going to benefit from your services and even being on my podcast and talking about it and getting the word out. It's huge. So,
Yeah, thank you.
oh, just so many things I never thought about. So, what would you say? Obviously, beaches in those two locations, but what are the most inclusive and disability friendly destinations in your opinion? Whether it's a theme park or a place like Turks
Mhm.
and Caicos.
So Disney obviously is not certified with any kind of autism certification or anything, but their brand is just so amazing. And they set this tremendously high bar for customer service, or what we like to call the Disney difference. I was actually a cast member at Disneyland in California. And so we talk about the Disney difference, and that is basically their customer service and how absolutely amazing they are. And they don't necessarily get trained to work with guests on the spectrum, but you see all these videos on social media going viral all the time of the character interactions that you think they get trained on it, and it just comes as a natural kind of feeling to them that they are going to encounter guests on the spectrum, or with a different disability. And they're just fantastic. They really are. Most of my clientele is for Disney destinations,
Mm.
whether it's Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Aulani in Hawaii. Disney Cruise Line is absolutely amazing, and that is a huge destination or vacation that I recommend to my clients, because it kind of meets in the middle of a tropical vacation, but also having your room super close by if you need to go back to your room, and having people understand in that Disney difference. So Disney is a huge one. There's also other certified autism centers, like Legoland is a certified autism center, SeaWorld is. And so going to destinations like that. And then there's also like all inclusives. There's one in Colorado called Sea
Mm.
Lazy U Ranch, which is like a dude ranch, and they are not certified to work with guests on the spectrum, but they just have this amazing customer service, that they're tremendously understanding and accommodating, that it makes it easier to travel to those kinds of places.
So you probably have some little ins of places you know about that, like you said, aren't certified, but you know how they treat people and interact with people.
Right. Yeah. So whenever I talk to somebody, likely they come to me because of Disney. I'm known as the Disney girl most of the time. But when they come to me, I usually, pre-qualify them. So get to know them. If they have like a custom quote that they want to do and they don't necessarily know where they want to go, I talk to them about things that they're hoping for, and things that they're nervous about with their child, and then based off of my experience and the destinations that I have helped other families plan for, then I will be able to give them my recommendation of resorts that are certified or not, and I just can back them up with their customer service and their accommodations and resources.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And it makes me think about people or places or things that people maybe discover that, like you said, are not certified, but you're with your
Mhm.
interactions, you're like, that this would be wonderful. And I have to tell you, I had a former student. I've known him since he was in first grade, and he's like, I think
Mm.
27 now.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I don't know if you saw this on my Instagram, but he has a disability, and he loves country music, and he loved the song Fancy Like by Walker Hayes.
Okay,
And
I think you posted about it in your stories
yeah.
too.
So
Mhm.
eventually, yeah, I had a video of him opening a shirt that my husband and I gave him that said Applebee's or Fancy Like Applebee's on a date night. Well, it went viral, and then Applebee's and Walker Hayes saw it, and Walker Hayes is
Oh
the
my
country singer.
gosh.
And so they arranged a meet and greet. And so with Matt, we were like, okay, we're in line and we're prepping him. We're doing some of that
Mhm.
foreshadowing. So we're prepping. Okay, just because, he commented on this video and has helped arrange this, or his people did, we don't know what he's going to be like in person. He might remember you, he
Mhm.
might not. It might just be a picture and go, versus a full conversation, but we didn't know what to expect. So we're prepping him. We get up there, and Walker right away, we're at the end of the line. He recognizes him, and he's like, "Oh,
Aw.
you brother Matt." And he spent like 20 minutes talking to him, hugging. They're both like, "I love you." Invites him, next time I'm in
Amazing.
town, I'll bring you to Applebee's and you can throw down my gold card. And he did
Oh my
follow up with that
gosh.
the next year. So
Oh,
yeah, if you're
wow.
looking for a autism disability friendly country singer, Walker Hayes is your man. No, but
Okay, we're
it's
gonna
one of
tag him and let him know.
yes, yes, it's one of those things where it's sometimes you meet an organization or an individual who maybe doesn't really know anything about autism, but
Right.
got that human connection. And there's a lot to be said about that too.
Right. And I think that's why it's also important for our families to travel. I always tell my families it's so important for us to expose our children to the world, but it's even more important for us to expose the world to our children because the biggest thing that we're trying to do, right, is we always want inclusion. And in order to get that inclusion, we need to show people our children and we need to show them how we can accommodate them and how we can flip the switch just a little bit to help them feel more comfortable and accommodate them where they're at, meet them where they're at. And I think a lot of steps that have been taken to make parents feel more confident traveling and these destinations that are getting certified, I think a lot of it has to do with us going out into those situations and meeting people and talking to people and giving them the opportunity to learn from us too. I think that's super important because we don't know, if that country singer, if he had ever really experienced that kind of interaction with somebody before. So it was so awesome that Matt went and he talked to him because then he kind of learned something from him too that he could possibly use if he were to ever meet someone else on the spectrum.
Mhm.
And so I think it's so important that and so amazing that we can teach people about this. We really can because I do feel like it starts with us.
It totally does. And I think what you just explained so beautifully is bringing disabilities or autism, any of these things, from the level of awareness to acceptance. And
Right.
acceptance, I've heard people say is an action. And
Hmm.
so when we're providing experiences like this, we're putting it into motion so that awareness can move to acceptance.
Right. Agreed. I love that. I think you explained that more beautiful than I did.
It's us together because it's not something I've thought of in that way before. But when we're sharing these stories and kind of you talking about, it's not just the win isn't only for the child. The win is for the other people that learn about differences in this world. And
Right.
I know for a fact Walker Hayes is forever changed by meeting Matt in particular, and
Yeah.
loves him for who he is, and his family too. The whole family just, surrounded Matt with a huge hug and open arms, and a pretty cool
Yeah.
connection. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So back to Disney in particular, because that's kind of
Mhm.
your main focus. What kind of things
Mhm.
do they help families with, or do you help families with when it comes to visiting Disney?
Yeah, so the biggest thing when they come to me is, like I said, we pre-qualify. So I will talk to them about their budget, and then I will talk to them about resorts,
Mm.
because most of my clientele loves to stay on property because it's close to the parks. We talk about the park that they want to frequent, go to the most. That way I can make sure that I'm getting them to a resort that is close to that theme park. Talking about how large the resorts are, what is the noise level at the resorts, what kind of transportation do the resorts have, because some resorts only have bus transportation, some have bus and water taxi, some have bus and the Skyliner access. So just kind of going through those different things about their resort to kind of pre-qualify them. And then we talk about their dates. What time frame do they want to go, when is the least busy, although it's kind of always busy at Disney. um, but when it is least, less busy, that way they can enjoy their self a little bit more and maximize their time and their experience. And then we also talk about food options. So I have clients that come to me and they're like, hey, my child's safe food is gluten-free chicken nuggets. And now, because of that client, I have an entire guide to all the different destinations around the Walt Disney World property that only sell gluten-free chicken nuggets. That way, my clients get that guide and they know exactly what location to go to in each park and at Disney Springs. And if there's, that on the menu at their quick service or the restaurants at their resort. We talk about the type of park tickets that they want. Maybe their child is not really interested in Toy Story and Star Wars. So maybe they don't go to Hollywood Studios, or, their child loves animals and they're super enthusiastic about animals. Then we'll make sure that they go to Animal Kingdom and they get those experiences there. We talk about the time frame that they're going, not just if it's busy, but also making sure that they plan a rest day, because there is no tired like Disney tired, and planning a rest day is super important. That way they have time to just kind of hone down and relax at the resort and have some quiet time, instead of constantly going to that hustle and bustle. Because when they're on their vacation, I always tell my clients, try to keep your routine the same as what you do at home. Yes, you're going to be in a theme park, but try to eat at the same time. Try to have the same breakfast foods. Try to eat lunch at the same time. Take a nap, take breaks. And so that's super important. So for, sometimes I have clients, that want to go back to back to back. And so my biggest recommendation for them is, don't do that.
Not.
Plan a rest day, or else you will regret that, I promise.
Yes.
Um, and then talking about the services and the accommodations that Disney has, like the disability access service, which is recently changing a little bit, I think for good measure. I think there's room for improvement, but I do think it is a step in the right direction. And I have a whole guide to quiet spots around all of the
Ooh.
parks, as well as Disney Springs. So if their child is on the verge of a meltdown, or maybe they're just tired and they need to, self-regulate for a little bit, then they can go to one of those quiet spots and hang out for a little while. I mean, there's so much that goes into it, literally so much, that when my families are like, we want to go next year, is it too early to plan? I'm like, no, it's not too early to plan, because it just gives us so much time to focus on the details, because the
Yeah.
details of my neurodivergent families for their vacations, it's so much. And being able to give them those resources is so helpful for me because then they feel more confident going, you know?
Yeah. I I'm just blown away because thinking of all those details and having you to support them in, kind of making headway with those if they're not in place
Mhm.
yet, things like finding the gluten-free chicken nuggets, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like they have a built-in travel advocate to help them
Yes.
figure it out so that they don't have to spend all that time doing that.
Yes.
Amazing.
No, my job 100% is to help them feel, taken care of and confident going to their destination, but also saving them time,
Mhm.
Being a special needs parent, I mean, he's older now and very self-sufficient and very independent. Um, so I can focus on my business, but when he was growing up, I just know all of the therapies
Mhm.
and all of the attention, that we have to give all of our children and, then working and taking care of the house. It's a lot. And you want to go on a vacation because you need a vacation and you feel like, you're just done and you just want to go. But then the thought of having to plan a vacation is literally daunting. It is exhausting. And so that's where I love being able, I'm a type A planner. I like itineraries. I like lists. You should see my spreadsheets of
Oh
all
my
of my
gosh.
client details. And being able to just take what they tell me and giving them my recommendations. And I don't do any more than three because I never want to overwhelm anyone.
Yeah.
So I give them my top three recommendations. Sometimes I only give them one or two because I'm like, listen, after everything we just talked about, this is going to be your best bet. And then them not having to worry and trusting me and okay, let's do it. And that part of the researching and then giving them options, very few options, is always the best way to go because then they don't feel overwhelmed and then they get excited about the smaller details that they get to plan.
Yeah. It's so awesome. Well, one more question, and that is has to do with flying because I
Mhm.
just feel like that's an area that probably causes parents so much fear, anxiety. So what are your top tips for flying?
So I have quite a few.
Okay.
So the biggest thing is to contact TSA cares. So that is the TSA agents who are specially trained to work with guests on the spectrum. And not every airport has it, but they're working on it. So contact TSA cares at least 3 days before you travel. You can do it over the phone, you can do an online form just to give them a heads up that you're traveling with someone with a disability. And then usually, depending on the airport, MCO, the Orlando airport, is absolutely amazing about this, but they will actually contact the family,
Mm.
usually by text message. The TSA officer that is going to be helping you will contact you by text and say, hey, just wanted to introduce myself. I'm going to be assisting you. They'll contact you before you get to the airport and let you know where to meet them so they can assist you going through security. Um,
Oh, nice.
Another thing, yeah, they're fantastic. We use them anytime we travel with Tristan, and they have always just made the process so much nicer. Even myself being neurotypical going through the TSA lines and security, and they're yelling at you to take off your jacket, take off your
Yeah.
shoes, take your laptop out, no electronics. Like it's very nerve-wracking for even myself. And I can only imagine how Tristan would feel with people yelling at him like that.
Mm.
So, them being able to, take him through a disability line, that way they can talk to him and, explain what's going on and what to expect. Basically front loading that process and then walking through it with him is tremendously helpful.
Yeah.
Another thing families can do is when they book their airline ticket, they can actually add something called a DPNA code, which is Disability Passenger Needing Assistance code, to their flight ticket. And that alerts the airline that they're going with that they are traveling with someone with a disability, so they will need more assistance. And when they get to the counter, they can let them know, hey, we would like to be one of the first ones on the plane so my child can board in a quiet setting. Personally, I like to be one of the last ones on the plane
Right.
because the less amount of time we're on the plane, the better. I like
Yeah.
to be one of the last ones. So we get buckled in and then we take off, and I'm like, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
Another thing that families can do is get the sunflower lanyard, which actually started in Europe and now it's made its way over here to the US. And so basically it is a green and yellow disability sunflower lanyard, and that alerts the staff that they are, they have like a invisible disability, that they might not
Oh,
be able to see. And so I know that specifically at Orlando, TSA has been trained and other staff has been trained to notice that kind of lanyard. Something else that I like to tell my clients about, I wrote notes because I was like, I get so excited about talking about everything that I forget, is to try a program at an airport that has a program like the Wings for Autism.
mhm.
American Airlines has a program where you can go to the airport ahead of time with your child and walk through security and see how it feels, how to board an airplane. They'll even drive around in the airplane on the tarmac. They'll rev up the engine so you can feel what a little bit of that sensation of the throttle feels like. So that's something to do. And then there's something now called Clear Reserve, which is actually free. So you can go and, kind of almost do like a pre-security check. So then you can go through the line even faster.
Mm.
Um, Another thing that I love to tell clients is to bring something called an accessibility bag. So Tristan has his own bag when we travel, especially when we fly. And so we'll make sure that he has his favorite snacks in there. He'll have his iPad, he'll have his noise canceling earplugs, his own fidgets. He takes a teddy everywhere
Oh,
everywhere that we travel to. So one of his special teddies that he'll take with us. So that is his bag. And he feels confident knowing that all of his things that help him feel comfortable are in that bag. And then something that I always tell my clients is I actually send them your link to your social stories for going on an airplane.
oh,
I send it to them in a special email that I have called Taking Autism to New Heights. And I tell them, autism little learner Tara, she's amazing. And she created social stories for going on an airplane. So go follow her and make sure that you check out these social stories because they are fantastic. And I know that lots of families love them. So,
that's awesome. A side note about that social story, I was just a week and a half ago in Wisconsin Dells in Wisconsin for the state autism conference. And I had a few sample social stories out on the table just to kind of show people and say,
mhm.
I have a free social story library on my website. And so many people picked up the airplane one, the going on airplane, and they're like,
Mhm.
I need this. I need this.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the show, we were packing up and someone stole it.
Oh
Well, it couldn't, maybe it was by accident, maybe on purpose, but whoever
no.
has it needed it apparently because, but I had to laugh because that was the one that had the most, interest right away. Like, oh my gosh.
Right.
So I think there's
Right.
a lot of people out there
Hmm.
that would need someone like you to help navigate this because I think people really want to go on vacations and just
Yeah.
aren't sure how to navigate the process.
Yeah. Those social stories are tremendously helpful. Like, to help them feel more confident too and help the child feel more confident too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Stories
I
can
actually,
really help. They can really help,
yeah.
like, with that front loading like you talk about.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, I have social stories created to all of the destinations that I help plan
Oh,
families. So when they get their final itinerary, I have social stories attached for Disney or cruises, whatever it may be. So they have that extra resource when they're getting ready to travel.
Okay, that's amazing. Now you're really speaking my love language now, which is the social stories or informative stories, because
Yeah,
just over the 25 years, I've seen them work wonders. Sometimes it's right away, and sometimes it takes a while of reading them to the child or having them flip through it, but they really, really can help kids.
agree. Even my oldest son, I mean, we do visual guides with him or make sure that he has a map of the location that we're going to because
Mm,
it's just tremendously helpful even for our older kids just to kind of
mm.
have a feel of the destination before they even get there.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, I know with both of our passions, we could probably talk about this for hours and hours,
Yes.
couldn't we? But I want everyone to go and find you. And right now, if you're a teacher listening, a special education teacher or SLP, take this episode and send it to the parents of your
Mhm.
students because I think they could really benefit from it, and also then they can find Kayla, and that can help for anybody that wants to plan a vacation with their child. So, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at specialkindofmagic.com. That is my blog where I show or share resources and tips and tricks to traveling on the spectrum. And then also, I am more on my Instagram than I am my Facebook, but you can find me on Instagram at Special Kind of Magic. And that is where I'm at all the time, sharing
Awesome.
all the things.
Well, I will link all of your info in the show notes so that everyone can go find you, and everybody go like, follow, everything with Kayla, and also, share her information, spread the word, because this is just such an amazing thing that service that she provides and is gonna benefit so many. Thank you so much for being here, Kayla.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome.